So I've decided that I'm just going to call this classroom sessions, whatever. Basically, I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes. 30 minutes. That's it. Everybody tells me that's so long. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's a YouTube video. You can watch it, pause it, whatever. I know it could be less. I'll tell you what, max 30, close to max 30. I tend to run off the rails, right? But that's when the best stuff is made. That's when I get the best stuff out, is when I just honestly run with it, right? I should have been a teacher. Maybe I am a teacher. Maybe an influencer. Influencing teacher? Whatever it is. Here we go, just an aside here. I love doing this. It's cathartic. It also should be helping, okay? Because I would think that everybody would want to own a business that was like able to make them the most revenue, be the most efficient, be the most optimized, save the most time. And I think that if you're in my position, and maybe this is me projecting, but being present, like the amount of present that like time I have to like be like I'm there. Some people will say that I'm not, and it's true. Sometimes I can get like lost in my own whatever, lost in my own presence because I'm so used to it, right? And then I get selfish with being present because then I'm just present for myself. But it's not work that distracts me. I know when to go in and out, to jump in and jump out. I don't let it surround me constantly so that I can't be present, That's what all these tricks are for. That's what they're for. Right? There is something to be said to having a hobby or a container that is very far removed from your business life, right? And now I get it. I understand why people have a cottage idea or like a home in another country or something that like removes them far away from whatever it is that wherever their work is. Because it makes sense, right? Because then you could just like turn off, but at the same time your business is still running. That's the difference. People that watch this, they either want that or they don't. But if they don't see a need for it, then nothing I say is worth anything, right? If you can remove yourself completely, and then the passive income that from the business running itself, right? You don't have to be watching everything and micromanaging everything constantly. Well, then that's your time, right? I think that right there, if you don't think it's worth it to be completely, offline for periods of time and everything doesn't go to shit and it keeps running and then you can jump in and jump out, that's the goal. That's my goal. And that if that's your goal, then you're listening. And if that's not your goal, you're not listening. That's it. It's that easy. So if you're listening, let's talk about work. Okay? Work. I'm going to introduce a concept that, to me makes sense. It may not look like it makes sense, but visually, we could probably get somewhere together here. So let's look at work. Okay? Let's imagine that there's a line. And what I'm going to identify this line as is we're going to call this the automation line. Why? Well, this is how and here's even better. We're going to put a little note on there. We're going to go here. We're going to do this. And we're going to go time. Now, the automation line is where human work meets. Right? So human work. This is the best way that I can identify process defense. Process defenders, or I think I've discussed it before, people that are using technologies not to their fullest, their basic uses, like tools, and their proficiency in technology in terms of what they can do is close to zero. So what they do is they just bring along with the human work the technology tools, right? On the other side of this, you have humanless work, all right? And what time is this? Where is the automation line? This is now. It gets actually way back here, but let's imagine it's right now, okay? Like automation's everywhere. So you basically in your human work, whatever it is that you do, you're taking along a process, right? So what you're doing in your human work is you're taking a process with you, okay? That's going with you, with your human work. So what happens when you hit the automation line, when processes you take with you hit the automation line, they are no longer the same processes at all, at all. So that means that if you want to be now and think like in the future, when you drag your processes through the automation line, they are different because they're for the most part, they're humanless. So the processes you had to do, automation deleted them. This is the easiest way of describing that. Here's what lots of you do. You don't like this. You do not like that the processes that you curated, created, the blood, sweat, and the tears, your whatever, your secret sauce is just smashed against this automation line, and then absolutely everything's changed on the other side. This is the psychology of the failure of your change, because you're so aligned with this. And people will say that that's like, I say process defenders. That's why I like to say the secret sauce. I really do think, and also in my history working with business owners, that process is the empowerment that they have in their own business, because they have pride here. Pride. Because chances are you're not the only one doing something, so you have competitors, and your process is, if it's your secret sauce, I always say, you don't want anybody to know. That's like the stuff. That's like your magic. And it's hard to understand, hard to take that away. It's hard to take it away. That's what happens. And then so you won't, because you hold on to it so dearly. You're like, that's my value. Do you know what I had to do to create that process? How dare automation come along and make it better and easier? But the thing is, though, we're here now. So just deal with it, right? Everybody's dealing with it. But that's the problem. That's why I had to do this. Because work and the process, that's your value. Right? For certain people that can't get past this, can't get to the automation line, can't cross the automation line. They're just so in this value idea of work and process. And it's, yes, I get it. Like, put it this way. Designing new processes that include automation is the new secret sauce. Okay? That's the new secret sauce. I sound like a crazy person, but that's what it is. It's the new secret sauce. So you're just basically not there, like you have to drop. I always say it's like you delete your processes for automation. It'll make everything better, and it'll make you feel better once you get to the other side, because this is like nirvana compared to here, right? Like this is nirvana, okay? This is nirvana, not here. But the thing is, you will make this nirvana because of that. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel like you belong in your business, because it's like that's what makes you comfortable. There's so many ways to look at it, but it's like anybody that drops that when they move over to the humanless side, it's all better over here. Are you kidding me? Like the amount of human resources that are required to match automation, you can't. Because it's like instantaneous, real time, all the time. It doesn't get sick. It's way less costly. So that's what I wanted to, that's the automation line. I'm sure there's a few people that will have some arguments against this, but it is, to me, what the problem is convincing people to change. It's not, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things, fear and all that stuff. We could go over that, but it's taking away processes. It devalues people and makes them feel like they're not necessary in their business, which they don't have to be, because they want to be. If you want to be an owner, you don't need to do any of that stuff anyway. You don't want to be an operator owner. You don't want to be an owner, right? I just looking at this from the perspective of, absolute real-time efficiency and scale. Like, the amount of scale you would have to do back here is by human time, by humans, right? And then on this side, it's just like you ramp up to infinity. Your scale is so much easier. But the process you bring along with you, and then you just cause this like cacophony on the other side, right? And I've seen it. I've seen people, this is what, and I mean, that's why I'm doing these videos, because it's crazy. I've seen people pull, or I've witnessed people pull their old processes through the automation line, right? And then they're over here, and this thing's an erratic mess. The process is over here because, they're literally replicating things just because it makes them feel better seeing it a certain way function after the automation line. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And what's weird is that there's a lot of people that kind of have done that, and then it's like going forward in time, going into the super future, right? Bringing this warped process that passed through the automation line, your human work process, into the humanless. That's why it just gets warped. It's like it ramps up. It's like literally it's an asymptote of like chaos. Right? It's a chaos asymptote. You literally can't get, it just gets worse. It just gets worse. Because it's like, and there are a lot of people here. And I think that's like the shiny thing concept, where new technologies come out and they're like, oh, let's start using it. It's not doing anything because we don't know how, our proficiency sucks in it, but we don't know what we're doing. But let's keep using it. A couple years go by, let's add these new technologies we heard about. And it's just a mess, like a warped mess. And it's because it hasn't been thought out, and you're pulling all the old into the new, and it's just chaos. So you can't do that. If you want to be where I think you should want to be, if you're listening to me, you can't drag your processes, your old processes, past the automation line.